everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand. This is Ruben Amorim's press conference reaction after his press conference before the Arsenal game at the weekend. We're in the FA Cup. It's the third round. While other teams are playing Salford City, Altrincham, Accrington Stanley, I think is what Liverpool are playing. We've got Arsenal away, so it's a tough draw early doors for Ruben Amorim, and he's boldly come out and said that Bayindir will be playing in goal. He will be starting against Corner FC. How do you feel about that? He's also been speaking about the future of Kobbie Mainoo, Alejandro Garnacho, Marcus Rashford, speaking about how seriously he's going to take this FA Cup competition. Is he taking it as seriously as the Premier League? If he is starting Bayindir in net, is that a weakness for you? We'll get in the comments about it and we'll discuss everything that he has to say. Also got asked a little bit on transfers as well. And on top of that, Kolo Muani, there has been some news coming out, transfer boost. Fabrizio Romano has spoken about him going to Manchester United this January. We do face competition, and also Pletigol has just come out with a statement on Kolo Muani's future and the possibility of him going to Manchester United. It is becoming more concrete. How many times are you going to hear the words concrete, interest in this transfer window? Anyway, guys, let's get into Ruben Amorim's comments first, and then we'll move on to the Kolo Muani stuff. So straight off the bat, Altay Bayindir is starting in goal, confirmed by Ruben Amorim. I actually watched the press conference on MUTV. Seemed like he was in a very good mood, Ruben Amorim, and he straight up confirmed that Altay Bayindir will be in goal. My honest opinions on this, and now I know all of you guys in the comments are going to say, Beth, Onana conceded to corners as well. Onana's been dodgy off set pieces. I hold my hands up. Onana, in recent weeks, has been a little bit dodgy. He was good against Liverpool. Hopefully he's regaining his form. I feel like Andre Onana is one of them keepers where I do think he is a good keeper, but he is capable of dropping stinkers. He is capable of having them bozo moments. So I get it. Andre Onana started the season really, really well. I think a lot of people were saying he was up there for keeper of the season early doors. Then he just had that run of games where he looked dodgy. Bayindir played the last cup game, and when you speak about dodgy, he looked like, you know, National League keeper level. He just didn't fill me with confidence at all. So I think overall, a lot of the fan base aren't 100% happy with the depth in our keepers that we do have. However, Altay Bayindir is starting this game. What I would say, despite Andre Onana's flaws, because he does have them, I would be a lot more comfortable with Andre Onana being in net for this game. I'm going to be honest. I just think he's a better keeper. And I think in a game where the opponent is so focused on set pieces and making things difficult for the goalkeeper, you really want to have someone in there with experience and with know-how, and that is used to playing games. I get Bayindir does have experience. Obviously, he played for Fenerbahce. He's Turkish national team keeper. I get that. But when he was in net for Manchester United, he just didn't look like he was full of confidence, and it just kind of looked like anything and everything was going to go in. So I am not looking forward to seeing Bayindir in goal against Arsenal, because I just know the corners, they're going to target him, and it could be a long day. He conceded off that corner, didn't he, in the Spurs game? And okay, yeah, it might have been a little bit of a foul. Andre Onana's conceded off corners as well. Andre Onana's had his moments. But if you ask me, who do I think is the best keeper to play this game, of our best chance of winning it, I would say in a heartbeat, Andre Onana. You can see the level, you can see the difference, and you could see why Andre Onana was number one, despite the fact is number one, despite the fact he's not perfect. So, although Ruben Amorim does say a little bit later in the press conference, I'm taking this 100% seriously, we want to win, we're putting a team out to win this game, and talks about the importance of the FA Cup, for me, Bayindir isn't part of your best 11. However, a lot of you people are saying in the chat already is shop window, potentially. Bayindir might be on his way out. The rumour is he's on his way out, and Manchester United are going to look at a new second/third choice goalkeeper, basically both of them. Someone who can come in and give Andre Onana maybe a little bit more of a challenge. Or it could just be he's the type of manager that does have a keeper for the Cups and a keeper for the league. In the Europa League, we know it's Andre Onana. In the Premier League, we know it's Andre Onana. Carabao Cup, it was Bayindir. FA Cup, it's Bayindir. Let's hope both of the games he starts, we don't come crashing out of these competitions in, because the Spurs game wasn't the best for him. This game also might be a little bit difficult if Arsenal are their usual selves off set pieces. A lot of you guys saying you are not confident with Andre. Sorry, not with Andre. You are not confident. Oh, you might not be confident with him either. But you're saying you're not confident with Bayindir in goal. And a lot of you coming in saying he was fouled and Nana is not it on corners either. Beth, what are you watching? Sorry, the way he leaves the post wide open. What level, Beth? Championship level. Surely we will not win with Bayindir as goalkeeper. I mean, a lot of you guys getting in the comments saying you're not confident with Bayindir, but you're also not confident with Andre Onana, which I have noticed in this community. A lot of people feel like we need a new goalkeeper, and that's fair enough. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. For me personally, it wouldn't be top of my list, but I can understand why you wouldn't be 100% confident with either one of them. But I personally would have, especially after the Spurs horror show with Altay Bayindir, I would have played Onana in goal at this game. I know he's had moments as well, but I would have. But that's where we're at on that one. But let's get into some more stuff as you keep getting your comments in. Let me know your thoughts on all things Ruben Amorim, what he's had to say in this press conference. He said on the FA Cup, I see what everybody sees. It's a really old competition with a lot of history. I remember seeing some of the finals, including when we won the treble. At this stage, we know we have a really strong match and we want to win and continue with our performance. He is right about the FA Cup being a traditional competition, one that I, as a United fan, I don't know about you guys, take really seriously. Winning the FA Cup last season was a huge achievement, especially considering how we performed throughout our Premier League campaign and in Europe as well. Winning the FA Cup is a very well-respected trophy, especially in English football. I think Arsenal hold the most FA Cups at this moment in time. Do they have 14? And we have 13, if I'm not wrong. I might be maybe one off on them numbers, but I think we have 13. I think they have 14. If we win the FA Cup this season and we're against Arsenal as well, we could equal their record for having the most FA Cups. And of course, you know, the big ones are the Premier League and the Champions League. They're what you want to win. But the FA Cup is a big competition and it's a very well respected trophy. It's more well respected than the Carabao Cup, even though I loved winning that, the League Cup. The FA Cup is a well respected trophy in England and it's something that you want to be winning and we want to keep hold of it. Ruben Amorim is absolutely right. Here's a question to you guys. Would you rather win the FA Cup? Well, I mean, that's easy, actually. I was going to say, would you rather win the FA Cup or the Europa League? But it's obviously the Europa League because we want Champions League football and it would be good to win a European competition. We won the FA Cup last year. So I'd answer that for you. It's going to be the Europa League. But the FA Cup is still... It's a way into Europe as well. And that's what Ruben Amorim failed to say that I could hear in the press conference, is that in the Premier League, it's very unlikely that we're going to get a European place if we continue the run of form that we've had. There's still time. Obviously, we've got near enough half a season to go, so we could get into Europa League spot. But the FA Cup is a route into Europe. If we don't end up winning the Europa League and getting Champions League football that way, if you win the FA Cup, you get Europa League football, which is what we did with Erik ten Hag last year. So that's another reason why we should be taking the FA Cup seriously as well. Amorim got asked on speculation surrounding Kobbie Mainoo. He said, our ideas is always to keep the best players and to build the players. And wait 1 second, is this wrote out wrong? Have I wrote my notes wrong? Amorim on speculation surrounding Kobbie Mainoo. Our idea is to always keep the best players and the players to build this club around. But we know the situation we are in, but I love the players, especially the ones that come through the academy. So that there is, I want to build around Kobbie Mainoo. I love the players that come through the academy. That's what this club's built on. That's what I'm perceiving from his comment. But the bit that I take away from it is, but we know the situation we are in. We know the situation we are in. That, to me, says, I might have to sell players I don't want to sell for FFP reasons. That's what I take from it, which is interesting because David Ornstein has recently said, to his knowledge, and we know how good David Ornstein is around this sort of stuff, and usually everything that comes out from David Ornstein is extremely well sourced and top tier information. He has said that Manchester United are okay with FFP in this window and PSR. Obviously, we're not absolutely bouncing off the walls, got 100 million to spend left, right and centre. He just means that if Manchester United don't sell, like Casemiro and Rashford, even though we want to, if we don't sell, we'd still be fine. And we could do something in this window. But Ruben Amorim has been very clear on recent press conferences and recent interviews that we have to sell to buy, and there is little to no money there. Now, I'm not saying David Ornstein said we could just go out buying without selling players. We probably do still have to sell some players to make money to buy. But with FFP and PSR, we would be okay this January in terms of if we didn't sell any players. Ruben Amorim, it comes across, he's under the impression it is very, very, very tight. From a lot of journalists around Manchester United, I've asked around and I get the impression that they've been told it's very, very, very tight in terms of FFP, money and PSR. So the message coming from Manchester United, the brief coming from Manchester United is we don't have any money to spend, and it is tight with FFP and PSR. That's the message that's going out. Are we over-exaggerating it? Because we don't really want to spend in this January transfer window. We want to wait till the summer like we've always done. When we get to the summer, are we going to cut back our spending like we've cut back on wages in terms of we've been cutting working class people, we've been making them redundant. We've obviously been cutting charity costs. Is that another area that we're going to cut down in? Kobbie Mainoo, it came out from Stephen Ralston earlier that he wants to stay at Manchester United, but his team don't feel like the terms that he's been offered, i.e. the wages per week, reflect his value and his worth. So we know Ruben Amorim rates Kobbie Mainoo. He's starting him in his best team. We know how talented Kobbie Mainoo is. He's probably our biggest prospect at Manchester United. Super talented. The fact he's still only 19 years of age, by the way, is ridiculous. The performances he's put in an FA Cup final against Liverpool, multiple times against Liverpool, he's a fantastic player and a fantastic talent. Okay, he's not 100% perfect at this age, nobody is, but he's definitely someone to build this club around. I think he's proved that in a lot of different occasions. He's even gone through his first little spell of bad form this season. Every player has it. He's gone through his first little spell of bad form. He's come through it the other side, despite people writing him off after a few games, which is ridiculous. Yeah, he did have a few bad games, but he's 19. He's came into the team and been played. Came back from an injury, had a little bit of bad form, but he's come through that, and again, he's proving why he's so good. Ruben Amorim clearly rates Kobbie Mainoo. Everybody does. It's easy to see. He's a fantastic player who we should be investing in for the future. But that line from Ruben Amorim, but we know the situation we are in, to me, comes across as if he might have had conversations with the hierarchy at Manchester United that have said, look, in terms of money, we might have to cash in. We might have to cash in on some of our players that are going to have a decent transfer fee that can bring money into this football club, which it makes me uneasy. And I see people in the chat saying, you know, I might be reading into things too much. David Ornstein literally put out last week that Manchester United don't want to sell Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho, but if a big bid comes in for them, they're not off the table and they would consider it. Again, like I said last week, that wouldn't go out unless you were kind of putting it out there to be like, you know, come and bid for our players. It just feels like they don't want to go out there and say, oh yeah, we want to sell Kobbie Mainoo, we want to sell Alejandro Garnacho. But it does feel like that is getting pushed slightly due to the fact that it's consistently being pushed that we are really tight in terms of FFP and PSR. So it's interesting to see how that develops. I can't personally see Kobbie Mainoo going, and if he does go, there'd be riots outside Old Trafford. I think Manchester United fans would go into absolute uproar. But there's just a few questionable things for me, like I've just explained. David Ornstein just doesn't randomly put out. Kobbie Mainoo and Garnacho don't want to be sold for Manchester United, but big bids come in and Man United will consider it. And then Ruben Amorim's also saying, I love Kobbie Mainoo, I think he's fantastic, but we know the situation we're in. Like, that's worrying to me. He's come out from the Daily Mail as well. Like, there's no smoke without fire. So it's one to watch, but hopefully that isn't the case. Amorim says he's very happy with Kobbie Mainoo. I'm really happy with Kobbie. He is improving. He then got asked about Marcus Rashford's future and availability. Now, if there's any slight chance on earth that Manchester United would consider selling Kobbie Mainoo, who is 19, got the world at his feet and is a fantastic talent and, you know, doing all the right things to be one of the players that we build this team around, then absolutely Manchester United will be looking to sell Marcus Rashford. First of all, he's on a huge wage. Second of all, we know it's pure profit. He's from the academy. He's homegrown. And third of all, Ruben Amorim clearly doesn't fancy him. He's been training separately because he's coming back from illness, which I've already said, in my opinion, we're not in COVID times. If you're well enough to train, then surely you can train with the team. If you've still got any sort of illness, you just won't be training. So that didn't make sense to me. Ruben Amorim clearly and Marcus Rashford clearly just aren't working together at this moment in time, in the fact of Amorim doesn't really fancy him to be part of this project. That's how I read into it right now. So he got asked about his future and availability. He said, we will see, guys. We need to focus on the next game. And when you're watching a press conference like I did on MUTV, I don't know if any of you guys watched it, you could see by Ruben Amorim's body language, the way he was talking, he just didn't want to talk about it. He said, we'll see, guys. You know, we'll see. We'll see means, I think, you know, he's probably going to go. He's probably going to go this January, and I think we all know that already. And Ruben Amorim probably wants that chapter wrapped up very, very quickly because he'll want to be stopped being asked about it. And it's just another distraction away from what we should be focusing on, which is Manchester United, what they're doing on the pitch and improving every single game. Even though we got that draw against Liverpool, we're still 13th in the league. We've still come off a string of bad results. We need to focus on getting our performances in order in the pitch. And Marcus Rashford's situation, it's just a distraction. And let's put it this way. If Amorim saw Rashford as part of his project and part of his future, he wouldn't have been dropped for as many games as he was from the squad. And his agents wouldn't be going around Europe trying to find a club that will take him. I know Marcus Rashford also said he wanted a new chapter as well. It's probably both parties, Ruben Amorim and Marcus Rashford, both kind of just aren't going to work together. Marcus Rashford wants a new chapter. Ruben Amorim clearly doesn't see him as part of his project going forward. We will see, guys. Is just let's get this wrapped up. Let's get this sale sorted out, or it's actually probably going to be a loan, isn't it? As we've heard the news over the last hour or so, there's been more coming out saying it's probably going to be a straight loan for Manchester United and Marcus Rashford. I actually wanted to get a little bit up on that just before we get into the next quote, because I saw something on it before regarding Marcus Rashford and his situation, because I think a lot of people were hoping it was going to be a sale or a loan with at least an obligation to buy. But I saw earlier, I'm trying to find which source it was coming out on. Trying to find it, but I can't quite find it right now, and I don't... Okay, here we go. It came from Darmesh at Sky Sports. I found it here. Should Manchester United let Marcus Rashford leave in January, they are leaning toward a straight loan before reassessing the situation in the summer. There is an acceptance United would have to contribute considerably to his wages in any loan move. I mean, we've spoken about this loads of times before. Mark's spoken about it. AC Milan's highest earner's on around 150 grand a week. Rashford's on 300 grand a week. Obviously, we're going to have to subsidise his wages. But in terms of a straight loan, no obligation to buy is a little bit concerning because it leaves that door open for, one, if he performs well, a lot of people in the fan base are going to be pushing for Marcus Rashford to return. Maybe he could return, and maybe that would be the start of something. But we've seen for 2 years it's not working out. So why would you want to have another crack at it when you've seen it's not worked out? And 3, if he doesn't do very well, there might not be clubs lining up to come and buy him in the summer, and then you're kind of stuck back in the same situation. So we'll see what happens around that, but it's not looking very likely that Rashford's going to be a permanent move at all this January. It's going to be a straight loan, but at least it gets him playing football. At least maybe if he does do well, it'll spark the interest of other clubs to come and buy him in the summer. And at least it's a healthier situation for the player. He gets to play football, and Ruben Amorim can just focus on the team that he sees as part of his future. Amorim then gets asked on rotation. He says, I think we rotated more in that part when we were trying to find out what kind of players we have. Players have returned from injury, and now we are rotating less. So Ruben Amorim saying, I was rotating a lot at the start because I didn't actually know probably know 100% who my best team was, and I was giving everybody an opportunity. And I think that was the right thing to do. Nobody can come and knock on Ruben Amorim's door and say, you never gave me a chance. Like, you wrote me off from the start. Nobody can. Eriksen and Casemiro both started in Ruben Amorim's first game. Garnacho and Rashford both started in Ruben Amorim's first game. He's given every single player a chance. Even the likes of Anthony, I think, started in that Bodo Glimt game, didn't he? Malacia started in that Bodo Glimt game. He's given everybody a chance to prove themselves as part of this team, hence why there was a lot of rotation. And now you've seen there is some changes here and there, but he's consistently picking his strongest team on a more regular basis. Obviously, sometimes, there'll be a De Ligt for Euro situation. Euro's embedding himself into the team. He's got to keep players fresh. He's got to prevent injury. Same with Xerxes and Højlund. In a system what's so demanding of players to be, the work ethic that they've got to put in and the amount of games that we've got on young players, you have got to protect them and you've got to keep them fresh. So obviously there will be some changes, but there's nowhere near as much rotation as there was at the start. And he also had said on getting more time to train with the team. Now we've had time to train a little bit more. I expect my team to understand a little bit better the game. I don't rotate because I want to rotate. I am not different from other coaches, which basically is saying I have to rotate to prevent injuries. He also mentioned, because obviously the quotes don't always pick up everything that's said in a press conference in person, he also mentioned that sometimes when he's planning for a game and he's stuck in two minds over which player to pick in his starting 11 for a certain position, he'll then go for the player that's a little bit fresher, because obviously he's looking at injuries and he's looking at preventing them injuries across the squad. He also said, which I don't think was picked up on the quotes either that I'm reading out, which is always why it's good to watch it, is he got asked about transfers, and I think it was Simon Stone actually that asked this question, and I thought it was a really good question. He basically said Casemiro looks like he might be going, Rashford looks like he might be going, Garnacho's been rumoured to be potentially an option to go. I don't know exactly if that's the words he used, but it was something along them lines. He said, if you did manage, to sell players, opportunities that you're looking at in the market? And Ruben Amorim was like, I can't remember saying I directly want to sell my players. He said, I want to keep my players. I want to keep my players, especially the ones with quality. But he said it's not about certain players. It's about the qualities of a player to suit my system. So we actually got kind of an insight into Ruben Amorim in terms of, I'm pretty sure he said he's looking at players that are basically, in other words, more suited to his system, which we know he will be doing, but I don't think he's ever really said that publicly in a press conference before. So it was good to hear him say that, because there has been a lot of rumours behind the scenes that he does feel like some of the players don't suit his system and he wants to get players in that do, i.e. Rashford and Garnacho. As much as we want them to, I know some people, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but as much as some people have wanted Rashford to succeed, a lot of people have wanted Garnacho to succeed. Garnacho, obviously, there is a little bit more time, younger player, can develop, but they don't have a space in the system. They're both left wingers in a 4-3-3, really. They're both not suited to be a number 10, and they're both not defensive enough to be wing-backs, i.e. why they might be up for sale by Manchester United, and Ruben Amorim will be looking for someone that is tailored to their position, so he can use that money to get in a number 10 that will fit his system, getting a wing back that will suit his system, rather than having someone who's in between and can't really do either position. But in terms of that, what was I going to say then? And in terms of that, there is opportunities on the market right now, and we've not even stepped foot into the Kvara deal from Napoli that Liverpool are looking into and Chelsea are looking into, and a lot of people think he'd be a great number 10 for Manchester United. Ruben Amorim also gets asked on the FA Cup and how it affects league games. He said, "At this moment, I am living day by day. We had 1 week without a game. I do not make sense. It does not make sense for me to rest players now and play both games really near. We have to win and follow the last performance," which basically is saying, we've had a week. I'm going to play my strongest team. Doesn't make sense for me to rotate. It makes more sense for me to rotate when there's games in succession, which is just pretty obvious to be honest. And you should take game by game. It's all about winning the game that's in front of you. Sometimes you've got to provisionally plan a little bit, but the position that Manchester United are in, you've just got to win each and every game and focus on the one ahead of you. He then says the importance on taking the FA Cup seriously. "We are in a difficult moment. We are improving, but we will put the best team out to try and win. I will choose the best team to win. We want to win the cup." That must put some confidence in Bayindir, who is starting this game, because I don't see Bayindir as putting the best team out to win. But Ruben Amorim's already clarified he's obviously going to start, giving him a bit of confidence maybe, considering he didn't have the best game in his last one, or when he's actually played for Manchester United. He then said, "Sometimes it is better to win this type of game and have less time to rest. We just want to win this game and we will think about the next." And I think that's what he should be saying. Manchester United fans expect us to go to the Emirates and win. We might not win, but we expect us to go there and win. With the FA Cup holders, we've just had a really good performance against Liverpool. We've seen that we can beat Man City. Okay, we've had a poor run of results. We really have. But we know, backs against the wall, these players can part a result. Liverpool are the best team in the league. We drew with them at Anfield in a game that I actually think we should have won. We were the better team. Arsenal right now, they're probably at one of the weakest times you're going to catch them in a season. We should be fully focused going to the Emirates to win. Okay, yeah, they've got strengths that their strengths are our weaknesses, i.e. set pieces, but we have got strengths as well that we can hurt Arsenal with if we utilise them in the right way. So I expect Ruben Amorim to pick a very, very strong team and go there with the game plan to win, obviously, and not just throw the cup because we're focusing on the league. I think we will go there to get through in this third round, despite it being a really tough opposition for this early in the competition. What team do I think it'll be? I think it'll be the exact same team that started against Liverpool, apart from potentially Yoro might come in for De Ligt. Not because I think De Ligt needs to be dropped or anything like that, just because we've seen that substitution happen a few times, and De Ligt doesn't always play full 90 minutes. Is there something where we're kind of protecting him? That's just, kind of a little bit of a theory from me. Yoro also probably does need more minutes. I think this is an opportunity to give him more minutes. He did really well when he came on at Anfield, held his own, pressurising atmosphere and situation, and he put in a fantastic tackle that only a really composed, confident player would do in that situation. So Yoro might come in for De Ligt on that right side of defence, and potentially Joshua Zirkzee might come in for Rasmus Højlund. We've seen that switch happen a couple of times. They're the only two substitutions that I can maybe see happening from the Liverpool lineup, and obviously Bayindir in goal. But get in the comments down below, would you be making any changes to that lineup? And Ethan Young says, any news on Casemiro? No news as of yet. I think we're just waiting for Saudi I think they need to maybe do their outgoings first before they actually ramp up the Casemiro deal. But it does seem to be heading in the direction that we want it to move in. I saw someone tweeting the other day saying, I thought we'd get more for Casemiro than 25 million. I said I'd drive him to the airport myself. Honestly, the Saudi are really bailing us out here with that deal if it does happen. I know in the past, Saudi have paid massive amounts of players. I don't know how Liverpool got 40 million for Fabinho at the time. Fabinho was a class centre defensive midfielder when he was on his A game, but he also was on the trajectory that Casemiro was on, which was a downward slope, and they somehow managed to get 40 for him. But they've not really been doing them sort of fees as of late and as of recently. So to get 25 million for Casemiro when not a single club in Europe would even offer us a fee for him would be fantastic. Miles Doig says, don't understand all this uncertainty over Altay. I just don't think he's looked very confident at any point he's played. And I think that's the main thing you need from a keeper is confidence. The Phantom Master says, hi Beth, why are we getting our knickers in a twist over Mainoo? He will stay. Agent is just looking for a fair wage. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. This is the thing as well. Everyone getting on Kobbie's back saying he should just take what we offer him. You know, he's a young kid. He's come through the academy. I've said this all before, so I'll say it very quickly. He wants to feel valued. 100% get that when you look at our wage structure. He's a very vital, important part of this team. He's an England international. You know, he was an important player in the Euros for England. He's been an important player for Manchester United. He has been one of our best performers in big games. Won us an FA Cup final. I know the whole team did, but he had a big part to play in that. 19 years old. He's got a lot of stock. It's the job of his representatives to get him the best deal possible. That's what it is. Like, they're not just going to... Manchester United says, oh, we'll give you this. They're not just going to say, thank you very much. They're obviously going to try and get the best deal for him. That happens with everybody. So I understand wanting to feel valued and wanting to get the best deal, but I'm genuinely concerned about the news that keeps getting pushed out there that United might have to sell players they don't want to sell because of money. I'm genuinely concerned. I hope it doesn't happen. I think it's much more likely if we were going to sell anyone to raise money, it would probably be Garnacho because he doesn't start for Ruben Amorim currently. He's not got a nailed-on position. And Ruben Amorim, it's not been plain sailing for them two ever since he came in. They seem to be fine now. There was just a bit of a misunderstanding when he got dropped out of the squad for the derby. But I would think it would be Garnacho. I would say 95% definitely don't think Kobbie will go, and he shouldn't go. If he did go, that would be the end for me with Ineos. If Kobbie Mainoo did go, I would be absolutely lost for words if we allowed that to happen or we did it. I don't think they could ever do it against the fan base, but a few things are a little bit concerning and have raised red flags to me. Red flags when you see a few things and you're like, that doesn't sit right with me. That's what I've seen in regards to that situation. In terms of transfers, let's give an update on the Muani deal before I head off from this press conference reaction. So, Plettigol from Sky Germany said, Manchester United's efforts to sign Randal Kolo Muani are becoming more concrete. The Red Devils are now determined to do everything possible to secure his transfer in the winter. Recently, there have been very specific talks with his management and direct negotiations with Paris Saint-Germain are expected to follow. Manchester United are considering a loan deal, ideally with an option to buy. How do you feel about that with Kolo Muani? Other clubs in the race include Chelsea, Aston Villa, Tottenham, Juventus, AC Milan and others. Manchester United have asked to be informed on developments regarding Kolo Muani, but that was the Plettigol bit. This is the bit from Fabrizio Romano. Manchester United have asked to be informed on developments regarding Randal Kolo Muani and Spurs and Juventus are ahead in the race. So Plettigol saying we're advancing with Kolo Muani. Very interested in that deal. Manchester United want to explore a loan with an option to buy, and Fabrizio Romano saying we've asked to be informed on the situation. But at the moment, Spurs and Juventus are ahead of us. I mean, I said it on the show the other day. This really reminds me, and I'm kind of glad we didn't actually get him now. At the time, I wasn't absolutely sold on it, to be honest. But, beggars can't be choosers. Our attack isn't exactly tearing up the league, is it? Beggars can't be choosers, as they say. I remember when we wanted Timo Werner last January, and Spurs got there before us. because they were ready to do business and we were trying to sort out some other stuff, outgoings, and we were just slow. And it reminds me of it this time with Muani. I have a feeling that United want him because we want to bolster our attack, but we're too busy working on Rashford outgoing, Casemiro outgoing, and Spurs might nick ahead of us and end up getting him as well. Might be wrong, but that's what it gives. It gives me them sort of vibes. I put a tweet out earlier, actually, and I don't want to be constantly negative, but it's just hard when I feel like we could be doing so much more to better ourselves and give ourselves more of a chance. And I've got to be honest. I put Spurs have better attacking options than United, looking to strengthen in Jan. Obviously, they're all over this Muani deal. Villa have better attacking options than Manchester United, already going for Donny Marlon from Dortmund, and are now entering the Kolo Muani race. Chelsea and Liverpool, both miles better than Manchester United and higher up in the league than us, both entering the Kvara race as well in terms of in getting involved with PSG in that one. It's just frustrating because I feel like we're so far behind anyway. We should be doing everything we can to try and catch up, and it just always feels like we're behind everybody else. I get it, Liverpool didn't spend much money in the summer, so they have money to spend now. I mean, City they're wrapping up like 3 deals currently. I get it, they've won a lot of things, they didn't spend much money in the summer, they can afford to be doing that. I understand the continuous message, Manchester United don't have money, Manchester United don't have money. But we don't have money because of your poor ownership. And I get it, Ineos are not all to blame, it's predominantly the Glazers, but you knew what you were buying into. And we're trying to turn things around, and it just feels like years of terrible decisions are now massively affecting us, and it feels like a very, very deep hole that it's going to take a long time for us to get out of. And it's frustrating seeing other clubs that aren't even as big as us and shouldn't be anywhere near the success that we're at, doing better than us, not only doing better than us on the pitch, but having better players than us to pick from and being more aggressive in the transfer window as well. It's frustrating, but that's where we're at this moment in time, and we've just got to see what outgoings happen, because if Rashford ends up getting wrapped up pretty quickly, then we can. It depends on the Rashford situation, I think, Muani. If this time next week Rashford's wrapping up for an AC Milan loan move, I assume we'll quickly move on Muani to get him in on loan. If that doesn't happen, between now and then, Spurs might already jump in and sign him up. So it just depends on how quick we get our outgoings sorted. And if it's anything like what we've done in the past, I assume it'll be pretty slow. But look, anyway, everyone, that was Ruben Amorim's press conference reaction. You can tell he wants players in, but he's under restrictions, and he's clearly had strict conversations with the hierarchy that there's not really much wiggle room in terms of getting players in, which I feel sorry for him. It's his first transfer window and he's probably going to get nothing, maximum a loan. Summer FC, what we'll be able to do in the summer. But the main thing is, FA Cup, really important game for Ruben Amorim, like every single game is. It's a chance at silverware in his first season. Who doesn't want a bit of silverware? It's a chance to go to Wembley, which is always a great time for Manchester United fans and gives a silver lining to another poor league campaign and a chance for European football. Arsenal are at the weakest right now. I think we've got to pounce and we've got to win this game. But look, everyone, thank you for watching. Hit a like on the video if you haven't already. Happy Friday to everybody out there. Thank you for all of your chats, all of your super chats. Make sure you like the video before you head off and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's look forward to the game on Sunday, and I will see you on the next one.